Good morning, Beaumont. Glad to be with you this morning. It's only supposed to get up to 89 degrees today, so it's going to be a relatively cool day down here in the Golden Triangle. Meanwhile, from Olivia Rondo, she wrote this article for the Breitbart newspaper, and it says that a bipartisan bill to review and strengthen U.S. Secret Service standards has unanimously passed the House following two thwarted assassination attempts on former President Donald Trump. Now, I do take a little issue with that because it indicates that maybe the Secret Service was involved in thwarting those attempts, and the truth is, only the angels of the mighty God in Christ are able to prevent those attacks from taking place, and they're the ones that will continue to protect Donald Trump as we move forward in the future. But nonetheless, Richie Torres from New York, Democrat, and Mike Lawler, Republican from New York, introduced legislation called the Enhanced Presidential Security Act of 2024 after the two attempts on Donald Trump's life. These, of course, will not be the last. There will be more. The successful 405-0 vote comes after Ryan Routh's apparent attempt to kill Trump when he was in Palm Beach at the golf course. And once again, I refer you back to a couple of days ago, The 800-Pound Gorilla by Wilbur Witt. You gotta check that out if you haven't. It's on my YouTube channel. All you got to do is look up Doc Greene on YouTube. Don't forget the E on the end of Greene. It's very important. Anyway, now this bill is going to go forward, and if it passes the Senate, the director of the Secret Service will be mandated to conduct a comprehensive review of the provision of protection for all former and current presidents and vice presidents, as well as major presidential and vice presidential candidates, to make sure the standards for all the protectees are uniform, which they're obviously not at this time. So regardless of how everyone feels, regardless of how everyone intends to vote, it is the right of the American people to determine the outcome of this election, said Lawler during the debate on Thursday. The idea is that our election could be decided by an assassin's bullet. That shakes the very conscience of our nation and requires swift action by the federal government. He continued to adding it is shocking that it took a second assassination attempt on Trump for him to get the same level of protective detail from the Secret Service as Joe Biden does. Meanwhile, the waddler, Jerry Nadler, Democrat New York, who voted in favor of the legislation, said he would do nothing. It would do nothing to keep other people safe because it doesn't include any gun control measures. I'd like to remind you that if they stop gun sales tomorrow, there are hundreds of millions of guns here in America. And just stopping the sale of guns doesn't solve the problem. And what happens if you decide to confiscate guns? Well, first of all, you got to remember Democrats hate some things. And one of the things they hate the most is the Constitution of the United States. And if you allow the Democrats to do it, and trust me, Cammie said she has the will to do it, they will absolutely gut your rights. It really irks the hell out of them that you have the right to freely speak your ideas, what you might think about those. It really irks them that you have the right to go to church and worship the God of your choice, though they would never want to place any restrictions on Muslims, you understand. But it irks them that you have the right to do that. It irks them that you have the right to keep and bear arms. And they've done everything they can to destroy that right. Even though it's illegal, they do keep a database on everyone that purchases a gun. And they search that database frequently. They're looking for the people that they want to get rid of. Don't forget, in Arkansas recently, they assassinated a guy because he had sold some guns that they didn't like. Once again, when you looked at the facts, he hadn't actually broken any laws. And of course, now there will be no court case because the guy is dead. The ATF showed up at his house at 6 o'clock in the morning while it was still dark 30. And they covered up the security camera on his Ring doorbell so that you couldn't see who was there. And then they busted into the house. And then as soon as the homeowner pulled out his weapon to defend his wife and family, they shot him. They said, well, we had to do it to defend ourselves. But you see, no-knock raids from the ATF, those are illegal. The ATF is illegal. It's an old joke, but it's still true. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms should be the name of a convenience store in Texas. So I'm just saying, Democrats hate you. They hate the Constitution. And if they can't get rid of guns, well, then they don't really want to do it. Keep in mind that all of these Democrats that want to get rid of guns have armed security all the time. They just don't want you to have any. Jim Jordan, a man that I've personally interviewed on this channel, unfortunately, YouTube took that interview down. But anyway, they blasted Nadler's remarks, saying the next thing they're going to say is some crazy guy on the left tries to assassinate President Trump and it's Donald Trump's fault. Well, wait a minute. They said that already. It's ridiculous. Lawler and Torres commended Congress for passing their bill, saying in a joint statement, they're deeply grateful to our colleagues in the House for voting overwhelmingly today in support of our bill. It's in the direct national security interest of the United States to provide the best protection in its power to the presidents and presidential candidates. History has shown that assassinations massively disrupt our nation's political system. They cause dangerous disorder and chaos and embolden further violence. The two recent attempts on Donald Trump's life showed the world, unfortunately, that the Secret Service is incapable of performing its mission. But here's the good news. At least they have a large percentage of homosexuals. And that's what's really important to the left. So I try to look at that and understand it as best I can. What it really comes down to, though, yeah, you can do an audit. But if you don't have the mindset to do something in a correct manner, these laws are meaningless. In fact, most of the laws in the United States government system are meaningless. The only way that you can assure that these things are going to be done properly is if there's a foundation built into you as a person. Alex de Tocqueville noted that when he wrote his book on America. He said the laws in America are suitable only for ruling a Christian people. And why? It's the Christian worldview that causes us to do right. And speaking of Christians, I know there's a lot of you Christians out there that say, well, I'm a much better Christian than that Donald Trump guy. I would remind you that Jesus said, there is none good. No, not one. That was an answer to the question, why do you call me good? Jesus said. So I'm just telling you, there is none good. And you may think you're a better Christian than Donald Trump, but I would encourage you to perhaps get on your knees and repent a little bit. Might be a good idea. Because here's what I know about Donald Trump. His sins are no greater than my own. And that's just a fact of life. Once you understand that, you can pray for the man. He's getting closer to God than ever. And I do believe that he is a Christian in heart and mindset. He has done more good for Christianity and for Judaism than any president in the history of the United States. In fact, he is unquestionably the most Republican president in the United States. That is, the president who didn't just claim to be a Republican, but actually acted upon those values while he was in office. Remember, he said, I'm going to get rid of 2 regulations for every new one that's installed. He got rid of 28 regulations for every new one that was installed. You want to see this economy turn around? Donald Trump's going to do it. You want to know how he's going to do it? He's going to reinstall common sense in America. He's going to lift the restrictions that have been placed upon pipelines, upon drilling. You know, there's no new drilling permits that have been issued since Donald Trump left office. He's going to turn all of that around. And when you lower the cost of energy, it lowers the cost of everything. And it will do it quickly. It'll still be a full 24 months after he's installed before you actually begin to feel these things when you go to the shopping center. But nonetheless, if anyone can do it, Donald Trump can. And now this. Wheelchairs for Warriors does something no one else does. We provide wheelchairs for former warriors that have been disabled in the combat theater. To be eligible for a wheelchair, you have to have become disabled in combat. Doesn't matter if you're male, female, doesn't matter what color you are. A lot of people don't realize the VA has very limited resources. I am a veteran, and we want to make sure that our veterans that were damaged severely in combat get taken care of. So I'm asking all of you right now, now to go to wheelchairsforwarriors.org. That's wheelchairsforwarriors.org. And I'm asking you to make a donation. Donations have been off a little bit this year. We've got right now 36 warriors that are waiting for wheelchairs. These wheelchairs cost about $12,000 a piece on average. So we need you. These are wheelchairs that allow these former athletes and strong men to be able to stand up if they need to reach something or to be able to participate in sporting events. One such athlete was Jason Tabansky. He was able to win the archery event in the Paralympics because he had one of the wheelchairs provided by Wheelchairs for Warriors. You can help. Please. Wheelchairsforwarriors.org. That's wheelchairsforwarriors.org. Meanwhile, this story by Jared Harris in the Western Journal. Amazing. Multiple rally goers seated near Trump hit with searing pain. They didn't initially notice anything wrong at the September 12th rally in Tucson, Arizona. They were seated right behind Trump as the incident unfolded. Mayra Rodriguez, as you guys know, from South Texas, a former Planned Parenthood director who rejected the death industry and became a Trump supporter, was one of the people seated behind Trump. She realized something was seriously wrong after leaving the event. She said, "After I left and stepped outside, I noticed my eyes were burning. I ignored that. I just assumed it was allergies. But after she got home, it became clear she needed medical services. So she went to the emergency room, and the staff looked her over, triaged her, and said, 'Are you sure that someone didn't spray you with something? I mean, your symptoms look like that.' Well, she said, 'I don't think so.' But the next day she woke up and I was practically blind. She said, 'I can't see anything when I try to open my eyes. All I see is light. It hurts. It hurts a lot to open my eyes. And I have this cold cloth that I put on and take off constantly just to live with the pain.' She was not alone in her pain. Others seated near her experienced the same set of symptoms, and it continued to get worse. She said, 'My eyes were watering. My nose was running. I felt my face getting flushed. My neck felt like it was on fire, and it just progressed from there.' An unidentified woman's brother experienced similar symptoms, saying his eyes were red as hell. 3 other people seated on the stage said they were experiencing injuries and pain consistent with those of Rodriguez and her siblings. Videos showed Rodriguez and Trump and others on the stage. Rodriguez's sight is beginning to come back after nearly a week. Campaign officials are taking these injuries seriously and confirmed that they are currently investigating this unsettling incident." You have a choice, and you chose Freedom 1300.